It's always nice to have some herbs on the windowsill, and as gardeners, really, I suppose we should be growing our own. We've got some basil here that was sowed, but it's just under a month ago now, so it's growing away. Been on the windowsill, that's all. It's not had any extra heat at all, and just the sun coming through the window has been enough to germinate it, and it's growing away nicely. And if we sow a batch every 3 or 4 weeks, you've got basil right the way through the season. But if you forget to sow, or perhaps you're just not very good at getting the seeds to germinate, then no reason, if you do go to the supermarket and buy some ready grown herbs, that you can't make a bit more of these by splitting them up. So, I mean, these weren't exactly expensive. I think this was about £1.80 for this sort of large pot of basil. It's described as a large pot. But if you're canny, you can probably make it go a bit further. So what I would probably do is harvest it a little bit, so you might be, making some pesto with these lovely shoots on the top. But once you've done that, you can just split them up. Now what they'll have done is very similar to what I've done here. They've sort of perhaps sown there's quite a lot of seeds in there, perhaps even 30 little plants growing away in there. I've done a similar thing with mine. I don't grow them singly. I sort of scatter a little pinch in a pot this size, grow them all on as one plant, and the grower's done exactly the same here for the supermarket. But what you can do with these is split them up. So if you're quite careful with them, split into 4, I would think, if we're careful with it. Yeah, so we've got 4 decent plants there. And then all you need to do is reuse the pot that they've already given you. This is supposed to be a biodegradable one, which is really good. So we'll certainly use that one again. Just some multi-purpose compost, or some potting compost. You could use John Innes number 1, or any good potting compost. Peat-free preferably. This is a peat-free one. And it's as simple as that. So where you had 1 plant, you've now got 4, so you can be giving them away to friends, or I don't know, taking them to a charity sale at the Horticultural Society, or whatever. But it's a good way of making them go a lot further. As I say, I would probably cut these back, use the shoots in your cooking, and then let those shoot again, so you get a nice bushy plant from each one. Same with this one. Because you can do a similar thing with other things. I mentioned we've got some parsley here. Parsley is quite difficult to germinate. Some people find it really difficult. So you can do the same again. You could split that up. That's probably got about at least 20-30 plants in it. Exactly the same. Needs a water actually. Same thing again. Just split it in half as we did with the basil. We've also got some mint. It's just ordinary garden mint. With this one you could split it. Again, there's sort of half a dozen plants in there, so they could be split up. But the other thing you can do is just take some shoots. This one's got a little bit thin in the supermarket. I only bought these yesterday, but it's obviously looking for some light. But you could, in theory, just take these shoots and use them as cuttings. So you just snip that off there, take those leaves off, and put those in just some water, so perhaps a milk bottle or a little jam jar full of water, and within a few weeks they'll root. Or you could stick them in some compost in a pot, perhaps put 4 or 5 around a pot. They'll really root quite quickly. Within a few weeks they'll start to grow away, and you've got more mint. With the mint, getting a lovely smell of mint now. With the mint, good idea to keep them in a pot. Even if you put them outside, bury them in the pot. They're very invasive, so if you just put them in, you'll get all these roots coming out and invading your garden. So keep them in the pot. That way too, when it gets to the autumn, you can lift them, bring them into your polytunnel, give them a feed and a water, and you'll get some more shoots coming well into, through the autumn and even into early winter, whereas outside your plants will be stopping growing and perhaps looking a little bit weather beaten. So it's a good way of extending the season with the mint. So yeah, we're not entirely against supermarket herbs, because you can, if you're a gardener, you'll be making more out of them.